Once again, you are paying attention, and here's your host, Tom Duggan.
We up, we on. Excellent. I want to thank our guest, Diana DiZoglio. She is something else, I'll tell you. She came to me about, 6 years ago now, and she said, I'm thinking of running against Dave Teresi, and I'm like, look, I'll help you. I'll do anything I can to get rid of that asshole, but I don't think you've got a shot. So just know that, don't convince yourself you can win and then be disappointed when he crushes you because he's been a 14-year incumbent. He's from the Teresi family. They own Jackson Lumber. There's no way you're going to beat this guy. And she said, I'll just knock on more doors and I'm going to beat him. And she did. And thank God she did, because as we're talking about this marijuana thing that's going on in North Andover, the North Andover voters at town meeting this month are going to have to vote on the Goldstein project for Osgood Landing. And what they want to do is have an indoor marijuana testing, growing, and research facility at the old Lucent building, which is now called Osgood Landing on 125. And Dave Teresi did something. He's a member of the school committee now. He went from state rep down to school committee because it's the only place that would accept him. And I learned on Facebook, I guess earlier this week, that Dave is against this project. So I started calling people to find out, why would Dave be against this project? He's a puking liberal. He's for whatever the Democrat Party wants. He's basically a political hack. Why wouldn't he be for this? It's for tons of money for the town. Come to find out, he works for a competing marijuana industry company. So he's not opposing it because he thinks it's bad for the town. He's still the same friggin' Dave Teresi he was when he got his ass kicked by Diana DiZoglio, and that's why he lost, because he was constantly selling out. He would sell his vote to, whoever it was that was the highest bidder. So we learned that this week. I wanted to pass that along to my viewers because that's something that people who are following us should know as we go forward with this marijuana debate. We're going to try and have Jeff Goldstein on either next week or the week after to talk about the North Andover situation. I think, again, I voted against marijuana being legal, but now that it's legal, how do you oppose a liquor store on Main Street because you don't believe liquor should be legal? I mean, it's not even an acceptable answer. So we're going to have him on. We're going to talk a little bit about that. There's a story. I'm not sure if it's today or yesterday in the front page of the Evil Tribune. And the minute I was, because I don't read it anymore, and I should because I'm in the news business and people always ask me, did you see the Trib today? And I don't, and I should, but I don't. But I was walking past an Eagle Tribune yesterday or today, and the headline was, and I'm paraphrasing, you can find it online if you want, Haverhill councilor's son begins his trial for rape. And I was just shocked. The whole reason we started the Valley Patriot was because of asshole moves like this. Now, you tell me, son, and just think about this as a regular person, right? Even if you're a political person. Why is it that someone can get accused of rape, someone can get accused of drug trafficking, whatever, beating their wives, domestic violence, drunk driving, and it doesn't make the front page of the paper? It makes maybe the inside if it's in the paper at all. It's in the arrest reports if it's there at all. But because someone happens to be the spawn of an elected official, because someone happens to be the son or daughter or brother-in-law of an elected official, that somehow means that kid should have his life ruined and on the front page of the paper for the rest of his life. Because look, let's remember, this kid's only on trial, right? I'm not even going to say who the counselor is because it's not right. What the Tribune did and what they do is disgraceful. It's the reason. It's almost the number one reason we started this paper. It's disgraceful. You have ruined this kid's life for the rest of his life with an accusation. Now, let's say he goes through his trial and he gets found not guilty. Think that's going to be on the front page? Probably not. Probably not. But even if it is, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when that kid goes for a job, when he tries to join some organization, maybe he wants to get a job for the government and he needs clearance, and they Google his name, I guarantee you the rape accusation is going to show up and the exoneration is not going to show up on Google. I promise you that. And if it does, you'll have to go searching for it. And at that point, it doesn't really matter. I don't think it really matters at that point. I don't understand why the media thinks that someone being related to somebody doing something bad means that person who's related to them should be on the front page of the paper. I don't get that. That's not journalism. That's the National Enquirer. I mean, really, it's slander. If you ask me, it's libel. If you ask me, because he's not getting treated the same way as everyone else. Now, look, if the Haverhill city councilor had pulled strings, like say maybe his kid was about to get arrested and he called the police and he called the chief and said, hey, I'm city councilor so-and-so, can you give my kid a break? Okay, that's a front page story. Like he tried to use his influence as an elected official to get his kid out of something, that's a front page story. But the fact that someone who happens to be in a position, an elected position, and their kid goes out and is accused of doing something wrong, that kid should have his picture on the front page of the paper. By the way, is the woman who's accusing the city councilor's son, is her picture on the front page of the paper, anybody? Hands? No. I didn't see her picture on the front page of the paper. What if she lied? What if she lied? I know we're in an environment now where every woman who makes an accusation by virtue of the fact that they have a vagina, we're supposed to just believe them. Like whatever your physical makeup of your body is, that's what we use to determine whether we believe people now. But the fact is people lie, whether you've got a vagina or you don't. So is the woman who made the accusation, if her picture's not on the front page, why is the person who's innocent until proven guilty, why is his picture on the front page? Why is his father's picture on the... His father didn't go out and get accused of rape. Why is the father's picture on the front page of the paper? You know why? Because the press doesn't give two shits about destroying people's lives. The Tribune, CNN, the Globe, the Lowell Sun, they don't care about destroying people's lives. They don't care that they've literally ruined this kid for as long as he's here. What they care about is that you're going to spend $1 when you're at Richdale when you see that headline and you pick up that story so they can make money on it. I'm sorry. I don't know what else I could liken it to, but to me that's no different than the drug dealer on the street selling drugs to your kids. To me, if you're going to destroy someone's life on an accusation and just be, I hope this kid gets found not guilty if he didn't do it. Boy, wouldn't it be awful? Wouldn't it be awful if this kid's not guilty and his picture's on the front page forever? I hope if he didn't do it, he gets off. And if he's guilty, listen, throw the book at him. But do it after he's found guilty. Put his picture on the front page after he's found guilty. There's no need to destroy somebody during an accusation because we all know. Look, the stories, you'll Google it. Women who make up stories, whether it's because maybe they had sex with someone, then dad found out and they didn't want to tell dad that they did it, so they said, he forced me. Or maybe they got a boyfriend that they're cheating on and the boyfriend finds out they don't want to admit they were cheating, so they tell the boyfriend, oh, he forced me. And the next thing you know, you've got everybody in your life telling you got to go to the police and make an accusation. I don't know if this kid's guilty. I don't know him. I know the father a little bit. He used to write for us. But I think while the accusation is going on, if you're not going to put the accuser's name in, then the person accused shouldn't be in either. And by the way, what do you guys think is going to happen if he's found not guilty? Even if the girl gets up on the stand and admits that she lied, do you think the Tribune will put her picture on the front page of the paper that next day? I promise you they won't. Because this isn't about trying to stop a rapist. It's not about informing the public, and it's not about educating people. It's about making money destroying people. And it's also about a political message. Woman equals good, man equals bad. Black equals good, white equals bad. That's the narrative of today's media. Minority equals good, non-minority equals bad. Right? That's what we hear all day on CNN. That's what we see every day in the Globe, the Herald, the Sun, all these other newspapers. So I just, when we run the Valley Patriot, we try not to do that. And when we do the show, we're going to call it out when we see it. What else do we have? I had a whole bunch of other topics I wanted to talk about, but I'm trying to cram it all in into 10 minutes. We can go over a little bit, right? Just a little bit anyway. Sitting to my left here, we have my two interns. Appreciate you guys sitting up here with me for a little bit. Maddie Ryan, who's all the way to the far left, because she needs someone to protect her from me. She's got Kiana in the middle. And then we've got Kiana, who's really only here because she's pretty. But that's it. We want to thank Twin Light Security. I actually haven't get through the whole show. We're almost at the end of the show, and I haven't thanked everybody. Twin Light Security they do my security. So when I'm driving around Lawrence and I'm going to shooting calls or accidents or fires, it's always good to have Twin Light Securities with me. Sometimes there's a guy in the car. Usually Mike Thibodeau's with me. Sometimes we get a couple of guys following us behind. Because when I get to the scene of something, I'm looking through my screen, I'm looking through my camera. I can't be looking over my shoulder to see who's like coming up from behind me. So it's always good to have those guys there. Two Guys Smoke Shop, which is where we are doing our show from. Don't tune out. I'm doing credits, but that doesn't mean I'm done. We also want to thank Rick Belanti, our DJ. We've got our charity bash coming up. in March, so you want to keep an eye out for that. And I'm stalling so I could find my note. Look at this. In Lawrence this week, how much time we got? We're good? In Lawrence this week, the Lawrence City Council, which has blathered on and lied for the last 20 years about how much they friggin' love diversity. You listen to Kendrys Vasquez during the election, it's all about diversity. And you listen to Modesto Maldonado and his crew, and everything's about diversity. Diversity is important. But apparently diversity is only important when they're advocating for some minority position. Because this week, the Lawrence City Council decided to make Kendrys Vasquez, elect Kendrys Vasquez the city council president. He is Latino. And up until that moment, current vice president, Mark LaPlante, was white. And that was pretty diverse, I thought. You had the president was Latino, the vice president was white. I thought that was pretty diverse. But apparently, once minorities get the numbers that they want so that they can be the majority, suddenly diversity is not important anymore. So now they have gotten rid of Mark LaPlante as the vice president of the Lawrence City Council, and they've elected Giovanni Rodriguez, good friend of ours. We like Giovanni. I'm glad he's vice president. I think he'll do a good job. But I just kind of thought it was odd. I just thought it was a little odd that this same group of friggin' hypocrites, and they're all friends of mine, but I'm sorry, when you're acting as a board, you're a bunch of friggin' hypocrites, sit there and they blather on at every public hearing, they blather on at every community works event, talking about diversity. Diversity so wonderful. Well, where is your diversity in the leadership of your city council? Where's the white guy? That's all I want to know. I think if you were going to replace Mark LaPlante as the vice chairman of the Lawrence School Committee and get rid of the white guy, you should have replaced Kendrys Vasquez with a white guy. Swap it. You got a Latino president and a white vice president. Get rid of Kendrys as the president. Make it Dave Abdu. And then you get Giovanni as the vice president. And then guess what you have? Diversity. But you guys don't give a shit about diversity, do you? You don't. You only care about diversity when it's a talking point to get something that you want for a minority position. Then once you get that, suddenly diversity is not important anymore. It's like equality. Everybody wants equality unless guys are being treated unequal. Then suddenly equality is not important anymore. They really should call the Democrat Party the schizophrenic party. That's what they are. Everything that they believe is in direct contradiction to everything else that they believe. It's crazy. And we talked about that last week. What else do we have here on our list? We're going to have to skip over that. Listen, I love Suzanne Bump. How much time we got? All right, good. We'll do the last 5 minutes on Suzanne Bump. All my Tea Party people are going to fucking hate me now. Suzanne Bump is a left-wing, a really crazy left-wing moonbat, so-called progressive. She thinks Elizabeth Warren's too conservative, all right? But she's the state auditor. So I get emails at least 4 or 5 a week from people who either find an interview that I did with her online or find a story that I did about her online or saw a comment that I made on Facebook about how much I love Suzanne Bump. And they all basically say the same thing. Tom, how can you love her? She's a left-wing moonbat. She's for abortion on demand up to 3rd grade. She's for taxing everybody at 90%. She thinks Bernie Sanders is too conservative. How can you possibly love this woman? Well, it's easy. She's an auditor. It doesn't matter where she stands on abortion. It doesn't matter where she stands on the death penalty. She's not in charge of the death penalty. She's an auditor. And look at what she's done as a state auditor for Massachusetts. She's gone after DCF, Department of Children and Families. She's gone after the Welfare Department. She exposed millions of dollars in welfare fraud in the Welfare Department. And Deval Patrick, when she did it, came out and publicly attacked her because she was going after one of their holy grail issues. So you know what she did? She did another audit. And she found more waste, fraud, and abuse. And she found more corruption in DCF and in the Welfare Department. If a Republican had done that, if a Republican state auditor had done those audits, you know that the Boston Globe and the media and Deval Patrick at the time and the Democrat legislature would be running around saying, oh, that's a bogus audit. They hate minorities. They hate poor people. They're racist. Republicans are racist. That's the only reason they did this. But when Suzanne Bump does it, they can't say that, can they? So I think there's a tremendous value to having someone like Suzanne Bump in the position that she's in, because she can come out and she can advocate for photo ID on welfare cards. No one can call her a racist. She can come out and she can audit DCF and say they're wasting money. She can go after welfare and say, why is there millions of dollars missing and wasted out of the welfare department? And no one can say she's doing it because she hates those brown people in Lawrence. So she's having a huge effect. And as I was saying to Diana DeZoglio earlier, if anytime a Democrat goes after a Democrat issue, and anytime there's dissension within a party, Democrat or Republican, it's always a good thing for the public. Because most of this stuff gets done behind closed doors. Everything's done with a whisper and a deal and an email. And then when they come out in public, it's just for show. It's all theater. So when you have conflict within a party, that lifts the curtain a little bit, and you get to actually see how that sausage is made. And thanks to Suzanne Bump, we found out that DCF, even after their audit, haven't cleaned up their act. I mean, it's a total disgrace what they're doing with these children. There are children missing they don't even know. You listen to the scanner every day. I listen to the scanner every day. You got kids from the Key program in Methuen going missing on a regular basis. You have kids in that program assaulting staff members, and they can't defend themselves. Because, well, if you hit a kid back, even if you're defending yourself, it's a child. And Suzanne Bump does a great job. And so I welcome the emails that I get. I understand that my fellow Tea Party members, just because I like Suzanne Bump, please don't start your email off with, when did you become a liberal? So I don't agree with any of her political stands at all. But she's not in a political position. Yeah, she runs for the job. But she's not in charge of abortion. She's not in charge of these other things. She's not in charge of raising taxes. In fact, I would argue the money that Suzanne Bump has saved the Commonwealth of Massachusetts by exposing the waste, fraud, and abuse in social service programs has allowed the state to recoup some of that money and actually give it to kids who need it. Every person that's got a fake welfare card out there is stealing money from a kid who needs it. That money was appropriated by our state legislature to help people, whether it's the Home Heating Assistance Program or whether it's the WIC program. I think we spend way too much on it. But when we see waste and fraud, when we see abuse, and we see people with fake IDs, when Willie Lantigua was getting home heating assistance while he was a mayor and a state rep, and had a living girlfriend who made $100,000 a year, someone should have gone to jail for that. But at least they found out about it, was able to recoup the money, and poor little Jose on Hampshire Street in Lawrence can actually maybe get some home heating assistance and doesn't have to go to bed cold tonight. So I just wanted to answer some of the emails that I get on Suzanne Bump. People, even after I've explained it, still can't figure it out because this is supposed to be a war, and the other side is supposed to be the enemy, and Suzanne Bump's a liberal, and she's the enemy. People who are reasonable, who don't live, breathe, eat, and sleep this stuff every day, most of us don't see anybody as the enemy. Even Elizabeth Warren don't see them as the enemy. They're people. And sometimes you can talk to them. Sometimes you can change their mind. Sometimes you can't. We're going to be having how we doing on time? We good? Well, we're at 3. All right. So let me wrap up. We're going to try to get DJ Deeb to come on the show next week. Joe Solomon just drove off the road. Apparently, there was a little kerfuffle here at my first show 2 weeks ago, and DJ Deeb was here. And we love DJ. He's a columnist for the Valley Patriot. I've been watching him for a while. I like to keep guys like DJ close. We agree on a lot of stuff on politics, but he's now attacking Chief Solomon, and he's now attacking the Methuen police. And he claims to be a libertarian. But I don't know any libertarians who are for increasing funding for local schools. I don't know any libertarians who say, let's take money from the cops and give it to the school department. Now, quite frankly, we spend way too much money on schools, I think. But whether you agree with me or not, libertarians, as part of being a libertarian, is for lower taxes and lower spending, not lower spending for cops and more spending for schools. So we're going to have DJ come in next week. I've got a story I'm going to be writing about his shenanigans that he's involved in, what he's trying to promote and what he's saying. And then we're going to come in, I think, next week. We're going to talk about it. Maybe we'll even get Joe Solomon in here. Maybe we'll get him to fight. That would be fun. Like a good on-air fight going on. Where are we? Oh, so next week at 2 o'clock here at Two Guys Smoke Shop. I want to thank Dave here at Two Guys Smoke Shop for helping us out. We're going to try and help promote you a little more. Sorry I didn't mention you at the beginning. Twin Lights Security. It's Twin Lights with an S. So if you're looking for them online, it's Twin Light Security. My buddy Mike Thibodeau. I'm going to try and talk slower. I know I'm rushing through this. I apologize. We also want to thank Francisco Urena, who was supposed to be a guest last week, and we're going to try and get him on again. next week. I'm looking for my Frank Can at Coffee Can, Frank H. Can Associates. We're going to try and get him on at a subsequent show. Teams and Gala, Century 21. You can throw some music up as we're on our way out there. Stu Fink, we want to thank you for producing the show today. Jonathan Bergeron, Christina Jascott for putting up with all my crap. Maddie Ryan, my intern. See, it's like I'm back in Lawrence. This is exactly what I'm looking for. Kiana Roy, who comes here to look pretty every day. We're going to give her a role next week. Ira, who's not here. Maddie's security team, Bill Ryan, who protects her from me. Who do we leave out? Anybody? Sean the Barista. We didn't get Sean on the show. Okay, you have a whole segment next week. Sean the Barista. And of course, Rich Russell, who's here. He's our photographer at the Valley Patriot. The Valley Patriot is on the street. The January edition is out. Look for it. If you'd like to sponsor the show, we'll give you ads in the print edition. We'll give you ads online on valleypatriot.com. For less than $800 a month, we can promote the hell out of your business. Trust me, you'll make a lot more than the $800 back. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you to the studio audience. One more show in the can. Wow, they really do good look on camera, huh? Wow, fantastic. We should do 2 hours of just that. Oh, here he is, Sean the Barista. He's here. Thank you, Sean. I do this with my pinky out now. Hold on. With my pinky. Is that how you're supposed to do it with the pinky out, right?
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.
Meet me at the Worthing House and I'll save a seat for you. At the altar where old sorrows go to die. You can't lend me an ear and some money for beer just like you always do. And I'll tell you you're the greatest friend alive. And we'll carry on like brothers even though we know it's a lie. So lead with your right. All your friends and adversaries, well, they're getting pretty tight. You better leave when you're right. Either way, you're out of money, and the barmaid's turning on the last call light, telling you to go home, telling you to go home, telling you to go home, telling you to go home.
What are you doing here? He said go home. Go home already. The show's over. Jesus.